What's up, guys? Kunal here. Good morning. Wanted to do just a quick update because I've been seeing this on the news, and man, I was checking Twitter like all night, like looking for updates. And frankly, I want to do a quick video on what this is and how it might impact certain stocks in the stock market. I'm sure many of you guys have heard there is an outbreak in China. It's called the coronavirus. And no, you degenerates, it is not based off the nice Mexican beer. It is a flu type pandemic that is happening, and it has been mainly, in one kind of province in China, but it looks like they're starting to do some lockdowns. It started in the Wuhan province, it looks like it. Now they're really starting to get it going. So you've got a travel limits on 35 million people. And you're starting to see kind of all different types of news come out. And, these days, it's so weird, like remember 5-10 years ago, it's like something showed up on the news, you trusted it, and you'd be like, oh man, Dan Rather said this is true, right? And now with all this, ever since the last couple of years, it's like, you don't know what's real anymore because it seems like every blogger or Twitter person is now like a journalist. But I thought it was interesting that, a lot of Chinese stocks were getting really hit a couple days ago, and I'm starting to see some follow through. So I think there's going to be some plays for us in the next couple days on both the upside and downside. You can see, you never know with the government, right? Like, especially, China's more of a secretive government. You see, you may be hiding things, how deadly does it go? Like, is this real? I don't know. But it seems like you can't really trust what comes out of the news, probably from the government. They're going to say, hey, we got it handled. But they sure seem to be doing a lot of quarantine. I've been seeing these little videos like nonstop, people just rolling over, and who knows? When you start to get this type of stuff of like, hey, it's getting bad or it's worse, whether it's real or not, this can really impact stocks and what's happening. And man, I saw some really like wild things. Like, you can see here, like this is in Shanghai, man. Man, they're dusting this place like Agent Orange, man. I don't know if that's a virus thing or if that is population control, because knowing what that looks like, man, that looks like if you inhale that, you may not be producing proper sperms for quite some time. Now, who knows what's going on? But there are a host of stocks that are starting to move. I've seen this type of move in the past. We saw this with the Ebola outbreak. This was when, many moons ago, when I had some hair and, I was a little bit skinnier and a lot less hairier. But we've seen this type of move before. And it's odd because it's really the same kind of companies that are going. So I made a list of kind of some coronavirus potential names that I think could be of interest, So the one that started to push off first was this NVAX. So you can see here, like this thing was at $4. It's already gone to 10. I think that these type of plays will be in play. Now, I do warn you that these tend to be like pumps and then dumps, right? Like any type of $2 or $3 biotech stock is never going to really hold up. There's a handful of them over the years that ever do like an AXSM, but most of these are going to be pumps, but they can be awesome trading opportunities due to the volatility. Like you can see, this thing is really just reacting on the news, right? So like you had a huge push and then it faded off end of day. So you can trade these things back both ways. You can see this Codex had a PR out yesterday, and it was like, oh man, it was up 200% in the morning, and then it kind of faded off. But there are some that are starting to get some heat. This APT is one that looks like it's kind of flagging out that could go. INO had some news out yesterday that they've also got, rise following $9 million grant to develop coronavirus vaccine. So you're starting to see some of these really pop up. You can see 12 million shares in volume and actually like a decent looking chart. Lake, this one looks pretty coiled up too. If you saw a break over 14, this one could definitely go. Now, the one thing that you got to remember with all these are just like kind of like little pumpy stocks. Like they don't really ever hold. This was Lake in 2014. Man, we were shredding this thing. I remember, man, it had one day where it was like 20 bucks, and then like 15, 20 minutes, like it spiked up. It spiked up to $27. Now, the interesting part was you could see like it actually was more than a couple days. This is a weekly chart. So it did spend like a couple weeks kind of moving. But you could see like once this thing broke over 10, man, it was a straight shot to 30. And then see this like topping candle, then it came back down. So there's two types of ways that I personally am looking to play this. Number one, if we start to see some action and, you know, the pump is on these things, we'll take some for day trades. As you know, I loathe trading small cap stocks, but every blue moon, if the occasion calls and it's an anniversary or something, right, we'll dive into these things. I would keep an eye on INO, Lake, these APT. These look like the best charts. NVAX trade's a little bit thick. On the other side of things, though, China names. So, like, remember, it's not just vaccine stocks you can trade. It's China names that have been getting hit. Like, you can see pre-market already, like this LK, this is Luckin Coffee. This is like the Starbucks of China. Already had a $2 move in the pre-market. So these type of names are diving down. My main interest in these, though, is if they start to get really smoked out, I want to, short these for day trades if they're starting to get smoked out. But at some point, they're going to make like wicked longs, like this thing, we were longing this in the chat room yesterday up to support. But if you see here, like this TAL, this has been like a really high flyer all year. Now, like, see this, it was from 57 to 48, and the nice like hammer candle on the 50 SMA. Like these, if they start to hold, could turn into like multi-day swing trades. You can see Yum Brands, right? This is like the Taco Bell of China, or they have Taco Bell, KFC in China. Yum Brands of China. This thing was 50 bucks, now down at 47. You're into kind of some support here. This HT is very interesting. This is like the hotel company, lodging company in China, and you can see like you got a big kind of pullback here. You're starting to see like an 8 stochastics, which anything under 20 is considered oversold. You're below the lower Bollinger Band. You're starting to get down into some support. Man, this falls like another day or two. I think that these could make like some really interesting longs. There's another company, we trade back and forth over the years. This Momo, like this thing, see this? Like this is just a waterfall effect. So a lot of these could actually be longs once the news on this is, died down. So typically what happens is there'll be some pandemonium as the news cycle picks up and these things get picked up. You'll see a lot of pressure on regular China stocks because obviously the economy could slow or something could happen like that. You'll have a play to the upside on the vaccine stock. And then when things start to fizzle out and they get this thing under control, you'll start to see the bids show up in the regular China stocks. And that's when I want to come in on the long side. And my favorite on those is LK, Ital, and then this HT. I think those are going to be the ones that, we want to be looking at for, potential bounces. Something like this LK, I mean, that could be, if it got, down into the, sub 40, I mean, that would be amazing due to the awesome trend that's been on this thing for a while. So these are just some different plays. Keep a look at all these. So it's vaccine stocks and then China stocks. They're both going to move around. If you don't like kind of these lower volume vaccine stocks, you could literally just play the Chinese names and, you'd be good to go. So guys, hopefully that helps. As always, leave me any questions. Guys, I do have a webinar coming on Sunday. I'll make sure to put a link in for you guys. I would appreciate if you guys come in with your questions. We'll talk about some of these names. And frankly, I've got a couple really cool topics, especially for new traders that you're going to like. And of course, smash that like button if you're enjoying these things. Look forward to it. Guys, good trading today. It's Friday. Try not to screw up.